Thought I did that.
I love this. The light's on. That means it's recording. You've been doing this for 6 years. Like, I'm doing
Clap
great.
one on three. One, two, three. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're so glad that you're here. As always, I am your host, Lauren Ash, and as always, I am joined by my co-hostess with the mostess, Christy Oxborrow. How you feeling?
I'm gonna say it. I'm frazzled.
Oh,
Because I mean, we came into this already with a weird feeling because we recorded this afternoon
yes.
some Patreon stuff, and then we took like a 2 hour in between, and now we're back to this. And so my brain is like, well, we already recorded today, so I
Yeah.
don't get it. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get myself a Slurpee
Yeah.
for the record because I'm gonna want the caffeine because insomnia just hates me. Or no, I guess technically insomnia loves me. Doesn't matter. Um, so I'm like, okay, I'll run and do that. It was like 10 to 8. We were supposed to start at 8, but I'm like, it's a soft 8.
Oh, it's always a soft, yeah.
So so I'm like, I have a few extra minutes. I'm sure I can get there and back. I could get there, get my drink, and get back probably within 10 to 15, depending on the lineup. So I'm like, it'll be fine. I get in. There's a couple of grandparents helping their grandchildren get Slurpees, and nobody knows what they're doing. And so Slurpees going everywhere, and it's just a whole chaotic thing. And but I stand back. I say nothing. I'm just like, yeah, you guys do you. I'll wait. Get to my turn, pour drink for me, and then I got one for one of my kids. Get to the lineup, and as I'm the next person in line, and the lights like just do a flicker, but just like a boop boop, and that's it. And like the overhead lights, and we kind of like me and one of the girls at the till kind of looked up and did like a, that's weird. Like it's gorgeous day out. You only ever think of that kind of thing when it's like a storm or whatever. And then it gets to me. She scans my items. We go through all the, do you want to use points? Do you want to whatever? Get to the payment. I take my card. The second my card hits the tap, ooh,
Oh
all,
my god.
every computer in that place went down. There was a gentleman pumping gas. You have to prepay after a certain point at night. He gave $40. It got to 36.56 and it stopped pumping. And he had to, so he just kind of had to wait until the computers booted back up. And the girl working was relatively new, and she was like, "Oh my God." And I was like, if this was me, if this was me, and the weird, like, this is my bank telling me, for the love of God, lady, walk away. What have you done? But of course, at this point, I'm like, I'm not leaving. And so I'm checking my banking app to see, did it go through? Is it showing pending? Whatever. It wasn't. So I'm like, I don't think it actually went through. They ended up having to call a manager to be like, what are we supposed to do? Like, they can't take cash because the drawers are stuck closed because they have to use the computer to open the drawer. So they can't take cash. They also can't scan anything in. And they're like, what are we supposed to do? The lineup just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I was stressing for them because I'm standing there, it looks like it's me.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, I promise you can tell them it's me, but just wait till I leave. And then, like, once I've left, then you can be like, it was so her. But I'm like, I don't even know. And we're all just standing there because we're like, we're not leaving. Like, we're just here. We're going to get our thing. It took me 40 minutes in that store. Like, but by the time I got home, it was a 40-minute trip.
Oh my god. So did the power eventually come back on?
Well, we never lost the upper lights.
Just the computers.
Just all the computers. And so the manager ended up, they have these tablets they use for like skip the dishes orders, and they it can, like, it has a credit card slot in it, and they're like, we can try. So they scanned my stuff and put me through that way just as the computer was booting up.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just one of those, like, I felt so bad for them. Nobody was being mean, thank God. But I just felt bad for them, and I was like, the timing, the absolute timing of just the
Yeah.
exact second I put my card on that machine and just everything went black. And I was like, I've come to this store almost daily and I've never seen this happen.
Almost.
There are sometimes I'm
I'm
not there.
kidding. I know there's
But
also been times where you've gone to a competitor. Not that we need to belabor it, but you know,
and look, was this my second time today? Nobody's business.
doesn't matter. I've had French fries 2 days in a row. It's not typically my style either, but you know what? We live, we do what we have to do.
Yeah, look, I wanted a Slurpee for the early record, so I got a smaller one.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then I'll get one later. And I just did not anticipate that.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. And then you felt bad because they were like standing there and they clearly feel bad, but there's nothing they can do. We all just have to wait for it to boot. And then the newer girl said to the other girl working, she was like, "Guy, maybe they need to like get a new computer or upgrade the system." And the girl's like, "This one's brand new."
Oh God.
And it was like, yeah, it's not going to help. So I do feel bad for them, but bless their hearts. We all got through it.
And you know what?
You
What a
know,
tale of resilience.
I did have a moment where I was like, no one's leaving this lineup. It's so fascinating to me. We were all just like, we want it bad enough. Because some people could have left. Then somebody came in and was like, is your power off too? And they were like, two. And they were like, I went somewhere across the street and their power's off. So I don't know what
Interesting.
happened, but yeah, it was
Unless their lights are on like a generator or something. Like maybe it's a different.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It was just such a weird thing. I've never seen it happen before. And I did have a moment of like, I should just leave. Maybe I should just leave. But then I felt bad because I poured two Slurpees. And then I'm like, well, I guess they're just garbage.
Well, I feel like at that point they should have just told you to take them. Like,
Oh, if you think I wasn't thinking, like the whole time, I'm like, I'm here. I'm here every day.
yeah, I mean, I feel like
Just tell me to
that's
go.
you're good for it. Like,
Just tell me to go.
yeah.
Worst case, I'll pay for like the next time I come in, I'll pay for it then.
And even still, it's also like those things cost that company what, pennies, 2 pennies, like
Change. Yeah.
fraction of a cent. So
Then,
yeah,
but
it's
I
like
could all. I did have a moment. I never suggested it out loud. I did think it, but then I was also like, there were already multiple people behind me, and I was like, they're not like, what are they going to do? Tell me to go, and then make everybody else wait and pay.
right.
And so I was like, I get it, and but of course, the drink then sat there for so long. So now it's just swill.
I'm so sorry. What a nightmare.
So the whole thing was just just insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I don't get it. You know? I
Yeah.
think the universe was just like, relax. Maybe don't.
You know what's funny is Mercury is no longer in retrograde. Like we're out of it. And it feels like it's like that's a classic Merc-ret situation, you know?
So, has anybody in the history of before this moment called it Mercret
I don't
before?
know. I don't
I
know.
hope not.
I hope not too.
I hope this was like a first. I also just want you to know I never understand any of that.
Yeah.
And to me, it sounds like you're saying something about Gatorade.
Oh, sure.
So that's where
No.
my brain goes.
Right. No, no, it's
Yeah,
yeah, it's just, the cosmic universe, the way everything's aligned in those moments.
of course.
Usually it's like things go wrong, technology fucks up, like, I'm being very simplistic, but you know what I'm saying.
Barely. It's just anything. Once we start like, what's the moon at? What planet's doing what? Then I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm open, but
Yeah.
I have no concept of. I'm also incredibly underslept and just like a
I'm
scotch
worried. Yeah,
cuckoo.
I'm worried about your insomnia situation.
Yeah, it's not getting better, but I've learned, and it's not really helpful, but I've learned if I just stay up stupid late, then I'll fall asleep relatively quickly once I get to bed, and then I'm out for like a solid like 5, maybe 6.
Not
But
enough sleep.
but then we're talking Like, I've only tested this a couple of times because I was working on notes late. Um, I'm talking like 2 or 3 a.m. If I go to bed at that time, golden. If I
I
try to
mean,
go to
listen,
bed at like 10 or 11, my body's like, see you at 4. And we just lay there. It's just a nightmare. I'm going to be replaying the whole 7-Eleven debacle in my head, going, is there a chance that I did do something to those computers? I
I
didn't,
just
but
think
yeah.
maybe at some point explore medication.
God, even if this is the moment somehow, like if we were a TV show and
Yep.
someone just got home and turned on the channel and this was the moment they started, there could be a list of things that you were recommending I take medication for. It makes sense. It makes sense.
No, only because I'm the same way. That it's like I get it. I
Yeah.
get the rumination. I get the like
Hmm.
replaying. Like yeah, and listen, I still do it. It's just not as like it doesn't. It's just not as powerful in my brain anymore. Listen, I'm gonna.
I get
If ever there was a drug company I'd be happy to partner with, it's the people who make Lexapro because goddamn, it's a good product.
I mean, good God, you have a song about it.
Yeah, listen. It's I thought I'd give it up by now. I was like, oh, maybe I just need it as I'm getting through this like really hard time. And then I tried that, and then I was like, nope, nope, I don't need to. I don't need to anymore. I don't need to live that way anymore. It's too much.
No, if you
It's too
found a
much.
better way,
Yes.
why would you go back?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And to be clear, I have a doctor diagnosed anxiety disorder. This isn't just me like self-diagnosing. I feel
Of
like,
course.
I God, there was something I was gonna ask you, and now it's left me. Oh, it's not something I was going to ask you. It's something that I hate to bring this up because I know we've been talking about it a lot on here, but we have of course been talking about perimenopause, both
Oh, yeah.
on the air and off.
I have no idea what I thought it was, but I was braced. Oh, yeah, we can talk about
And
Perry.
well, no, there was just something I saw on a post, and I was like, oh dear, I'm gonna have to tell her. Because again, there's so many symptoms that nobody talks about this. No one has talked about this our entire lives. I feel like we are the first generation that's like, can we please share the information so other women aren't shocked? Like when I found out about our wee was going back up inside of us as a part of the whole thing, that's something we should know.
It, I bet that's why I don't sleep. I think about that a lot. I'm not even kidding.
It's a horror show, I know. But here's the thing. So there was a woman who was talking, and now listen, she's not, I don't think this woman was a medical professional, but you know, she was talking about symptoms, and one of the symptoms that she listed was road rage. And it's not that I'm saying that you have it.
You have the voice notes to prove it.
I do have receipts. And again, it's not that it's necessarily full raging, but it's more just like, you know, I feel like it's maybe amped up a little bit over the years.
That's where
That's all.
I feel like my anger peaks and valleys.
100%.
You know what I mean? And
You
when
contain multitudes.
it just turns out when I'm behind the wheel, all peaks. You know what I mean? I will say though, I did get very good on my way to 7-Eleven because I was so chill at that point. Um, I witnessed a person do a U-turn, but get this, they did it so poorly, it turned into like a 3-point turn.
No.
And in that moment, my brain was like, "You dumb shit." But I didn't say, like, I didn't get mad. I was just like, "Idiot," like, and then kept going. So I did get better about that. But yeah, look, am I like ticking all the boxes on things? Yeah. Yeah, I am. I know. I mean, I think it's been within the last few years that everything is like, "Oh, it's coming for you." But I think it's not coming. Like, I think she's just here.
Yeah.
It's just me and my BFF Perry. Like, it's just, this is just it. And I think it's such bullshit that thing for like medical things for women don't get research or
Yep.
time publicly. Because, yeah, this, I'll say it, men don't have to go through stuff like this.
No.
Not to the levels of this.
No. No, listen, I and as you know, my night sweats are not every day, but they're happening and it's alarming. And I think if it happened to a man ever,
Yeah.
I feel like they'd be like, stop the presses. We need to go back to the laboratories. Study us.
Yes.
Like, it's the first time, and I know that you haven't had this necessarily either, but like the first time that you wake up and you are soaked to your bone, like it's as though you just fully clothed jumped in a pool, like you're drenched in sweat and you're freezing cold because you've sweat and then you've laid in it and time has passed and you're no longer hot. It's done its job in the sense, I guess. It's cooled you. But it's cooled you too far. And then you get up and then you just have this shame of like, do I change the sheets? I just go to the other side of the bed sometimes. You know, I'm like, well, I'll just not sleep in the wet spot. Now, it's not the wet spot that we're normally used to in our 20s. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, my point is, I just feel like it's so aggressive. And look, I'm obviously, you know, I'm slightly younger than you, not by a lot. And I think I think it's manifesting differently in both of us. And I think that's typical. Yeah. And I think I'm just a little behind you. And I think that it's unrelenting and it's coming for all of us. And I'm not trying to scare the younger listeners. At the same time, be warned. Because one day you're going to wake up in a pool of your own sweat. You're not going to know what's gone on. Sometimes the immediate reaction I go is, oh my God, have I pissed the bed? Like, it's crazy.
Yes.
And then I said to Christy 100%. The other day, well, I haven't had it happen in a while. Happened that night. It was like I jinxed myself into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, and I'm sure people desperately want to blame like mercury in the microwave or whatever. Yep. But it's Perry. We all know it's Perry. And what a piece of shit Perry is.
And my question is, piece of absolute garbage.
Yeah.
My question, because I've heard this can last like 10 years.
Good God.
Does it come for you younger if you haven't had children? Does it come for you older if you haven't had children? Is there a difference about how it affects you, whether or not you've had children? These are the questions I've had, which I could ask my doctor or Google. It's right there. But, you know, I guess I'm bargaining. I'm in the bargaining stage of it where I'm like, no. This isn't happening yet.
What stage is just anger?
Oh,
how far down is, how far, that's why I'm asking. How far down in the thing is anger?
There's something called frozen shoulder. Have you heard about this?
Oh my God. No. Oh God.
Perimenopause, frozen shoulder. I've been learning all about this shit. Okay. Frozen shoulder is strongly linked to perimenopause, commonly appearing in women aged 40 to 60 with declining estrogen levels and joint inflammation and tissue stiffness. It moves from a painful freezing stage up to 9 months to a stiff frozen stage for 4 to 12 months, and then finally a thawing stage where movement returns.
What did we do to deserve this?
This is why we all died by 28 in like hundreds of years ago. We weren't living past 35. Yeah. I think that in God's image, it was like, take them out before that starts, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. This, again, like there's nothing about it that I like. I also don't like the fact that you said from 40 to 60 is like the approximate.
It chilled me. It chilled me to my core when I read that. Chillier than me laying in a pile of my own cold sweat, okay? It chilled me too.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-freezing, freezing, frozen, and thawing. I've never heard of this in my life.
No.
Have you?
No. It's almost like the generations before us were just like, well, we didn't get any sort of manual about it, so good luck. We got through it. You'll figure it out.
I think it's the shame, too. I think it's the shame. I think that women have felt like they can't talk about it and all of the above, and they probably were like, well, we don't want to scare them. Well, you know what? I want to scare the younger generation, and you know why? It's my duty. It's my duty to put the fear of goddamn God in them. goddamn God. You hear me?
It's just I think I would rather hear about it and be like, "Oh God," and fear it coming so that I know once it's there, then I'm like, "This is what it is," and I don't panic.
Yes. This is what I'm
Instead of
saying.
just
That's what I mean.
you show up and you panic and you're like, "What the hell is this?" And I mean, again, last year I had to get that fucking ain't from sent from the angels neck fan
Oh, yeah.
because I go somewhere, I take like 2 steps and I'm like, I'm way too fucking hot. And it's just, and I knew then, I was like, something's not right. It's weird. I shouldn't be so outrageously hot walking around when everybody else seems fine. Oh, God.
God, look at this. Listen to this.
Oh, no.
Research suggests women who have never been pregnant or given birth or have given birth have double the odds of experiencing premature menopause before age 40 and a higher risk of early menopause before age 45. While the average age for menopause is 51, perimenopause for those women can begin in their 40s or even mid-30s.
Oh, God. Like, again, this just seems so unfair. And I understand it's part of the, like, the whole, like, linked to, like, the ability to bear children and all of the above. Like, I get that. They kind of go hand in hand, but it seems wildly unfair.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't think that this even necessarily applies to me because they're like, well, if you've never had children, then you didn't go through periods where you were having no periods. Like when you're pregnant, you're not having a period for 9 months, right? So you're saving up eggs. Well, I have PCOS, so I wasn't ovulating for years. So I don't think that's against me. I love that I'm trying to fight it like I don't have it when it's like you're sweating in the night like a fucking banshee. Like, what are you talking about?
I do like that you kind of went a little bit Elle from Legally Blonde trying to like fight your case where you were like, excuse me, Your Honor.
What I like is that two of the prompts here are what are the 4 stages of menopause, but then what are the 7 signs of 4 stages, 7 signs. I didn't, you know what? I didn't read properly. Why? The brain fog, the perimenopause.
And
kill
that's
me dead.
The other thing, the amount of times I'll be saying something and then I'm like, no, I lose basic words. So brain fog, definitely there.
Yeah.
Insomnia, which we learned, definitely there. Crazy vivid dreams, which we learned recently, are another symptom.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could start calling this show True Crime and Perimenopause because we've been talking about it a lot. But, again, I do feel like we have an obligation. And it's not that I want to scare younger women in a nefarious way. It's that I want them to be like, hey, prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Smarten up. They're not doing anything wrong. I'm not trying to be hard on them. It's probably the perimenopause talking. It's probably the road rage talking.
And here's the thing. I've heard that once Perry passes,
yep.
God, you've never seen such bright colors. And like, right. God, life is wonderful. And that's great. And I love that. But currently, Perry is my homeboy and my roommate and will not leave me alone.
Yeah.
And that
the idea that this could be going on for you for another, 5 to 15 years,
I fear for when's the next time I'm gonna get a really solid sleep. I can't do this for years. I'll be a kook, and not the delightful kind of kook that I truly hope to one day be. I'm gonna be just, I'm gonna, everybody's gonna start to worry.
Yeah. You'll be okay.
Oh, God.
You'll be okay.
For the, I'm just going to try and keep thinking about the future and when it's over.
Yeah.
And by it, I mean Perry. I don't mean good night nurse. But do I consider having shirts made that are so long, Perry, or something?
I think we should definitely
Perry, my bitch.
I think we should have a party. I think we should plan a vacation. I think that this should be a giant celebration.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see it go. Because it
Yes.
really, again, there's just so many things where you just like the most random symptom and you're like, that's so crazy. I don't get why it's happening and what's up with my memory and here's all these things. And then you look it up and you're like, these are all symptoms.
Yep.
Again, wildly unfair.
Wildly
Leave us
unfair.
alone.
Yeah, leave us alone. We're good women. We're
Yes.
good women. What did we ever do to deserve this?
I'll go so far as to say I think women in general are good and
Yes.
just leave us alone.
I was using the royal we, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
of
Like it's like, yeah,
course.
we're good women and it's
Of
just
course.
it's not right.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? I can't believe this is what I'm saying. Can you imagine? The Queen had to go through this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing all of this and then having to get up in front of people and fucking wave at like as people are passing by?
No.
I can't.
I just want to know if she had a person specifically awake 24/7 to change the fucking sweat sheets for her. You think the queen sleeping through the night in her sweat spot? I hope not.
If she had perimenopause, she was not sleeping through the night. I'll say it. It actually kind of makes me almost feel better to think about, like, huh, well, if she had to go through it,
Yeah.
I do feel better. It's like when Oprah gave that interview when somebody was asking her, like, how you interview such great, like, big figures. Like, she interviewed, like, Nelson Mandela and whatever. And they were like, how do you, like, do you get nervous, whatever? And she's like, no, because I taught myself early in my career when you're seeing somebody, if in your mind you're like really nervous and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to this person, just think to yourself, this person poops too. And she's like, once you remember they poop too, your brain just like puts them on the same level as you, and suddenly you're not like, oh my God, you're just like, oh my God, the queen took shits. That's, that's where that went for me. Wow.
I love it. And listen, and the other thing too is like just remember that yeah, everybody poops. It's the
Yeah.
great equalizer. Now, is everyone like Lauren Ash and can just be sitting on the couch, minding her own business, get a little pang in her belly, and then suddenly she's shit herself? No, I don't know that that happens to everyone. I don't know that that happens to everyone. Somebody was telling me recently, a good friend of mine was telling me recently that someone in their life was talking about like, oh, like my elderly father unfortunately did shit himself. And she told her to tell her dad, tell him that Lauren Ash shits herself all the time. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, I shit myself driving home from the airport once. Like I've shit myself so many times. And look, does it seem like a medical issue I should probably have looked into? Probably. When I find it's worse? This is all connected around my period.
Oh, yeah.
Because guess what also came? So let me tell you this. So now I'm dealing with
Oh.
sitting in shit, bleeding out my puss, and sleeping in soaking wet sheets? Yeah, we gotta fast forward. Let's get through this. I don't want any of it anymore, 10 years of this? You think you'll be a kook? I'll be a kook too. I'll just be in goddamn diapers.
I didn't think Puss was gonna come out. Um, but I'll say it. I feel better.
And listen, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
I will quote Lena Dunham's character in Girls when I say, we may be the voice of a generation. What you drinking over there?
Well, I have my melted Slurpee. It's fine.
I'm so sorry. Now listen,
No,
I've got
it's fine.
something. I've got something jazzy over here.
Jazzy.
Yeah, so I have like a little pool fridge and in the garage. So if you're in the pool, you can get out, get something. You don't have to drip in the house.
Yeah.
Little mini fridge there. And people come over, they bring stuff, they end up leaving it. So I end up sometimes with like some fun, weird stuff in there. And what do I see today? I was like, let's go just dig through the pool fridge. I see this 7-Up Zero Sugar Tropical. And this is not an ad, obviously. I have nothing to say. Here's what I'm going to say to you. Delicious.
No kidding.
Delicious. I don't know that I could even place what the flavors are that they're going for. Like, just tropical. Like, I don't know. There's maybe a peach on there. I think is that a peach and an orange? I don't know.
I mean, it could be.
It's nice. It's Fresca-ish.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
I love that.
I've drank too much Diet Coke this week. I've had one of those weeks because I start every day with 2. I shouldn't be admitting this publicly. It's
Babe, you just... No. You mentioned shitting yourself. You mentioned it happens frequently. And then you said bleeding out my puss. I think it's safe to tell them how much Diet Coke you consume.
Oh my God.
Because sometimes I worry we forget that we're actually recording.
Oh, I've completely forgotten. Yeah, I've just told the world I shit myself all the time. And then I was like, I've said this on the show before, haven't I? I don't think so. Maybe on Patreon. I don't think I have. It doesn't matter. I mean, at this point, I'm shielding what from who? Potential suitors? Because there's so many eligible, like, straight single guys listening to this podcast. Like, come on.
If there are... You'd be so lucky.
Yeah, exactly. And you should be happy that I'm shitting myself because I'm real, baby.
I'm so sorry for anyone who skips the opening bit.
So am I, because it's been a real gift today. Oh my God. I guess the last thing I'll say is I don't normally drink, and then I've been having a 3rd Diet Coke. And so 3 Diet Cokes a day feels like a little bit much. And then I know people are going to say, maybe that's why you're shitting yourself. But no. I can drink that. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't.
I don't want to say it.
What?
It didn't affect you before Perry.
I can't even go down that road. If you think I'm looking down the barrel of a life where I have to limit or cut out Diet Coke, 5150 me. 5150 me. Because guess what? I'm going to need it. Gonna need it. On that note, folks, let's get into the serious true crime case. This is the magic of this show. Come on. Yes. We bring you in, we make you laugh, we get you serious, we tell you a story. We're talking, this week's episode is about Kalinka Bamberski? Bamberski.
I've been saying Bamberski, but
Bamberski.
I'm just hoping for the best that I'm right.
Well, we're doing the best we can, folks. And I'll get you all up to date right now because I also am not familiar with this case. So let's get into it right now. In the summer of 1982, teenager Kalinka Bamberski was found dead in her mother's home. Even though the medical examiner couldn't determine a cause of death, the German police were quick to close the case and say that there was nothing to be done. But since Kalinka was perfectly healthy, her father refused to accept her suspicious death, so he spent decades battling the courts to try and prove that his daughter had been murdered. Brace yourselves for this one, folks, because it is enraging. We've got the tragic death of a teenager, the disappointing response from her mother, the tiring arrogance of her stepfather, and her biological father's 30-year fight for justice. Wow.
I only knew a bit going into the research for this, and if you thought my road rage was bad, the anger, anger. So yeah, heads up. Christy gonna get angry at a white man. Spoiler alert, he deserves it. Oh, so, but of course, I'm not going to get right into it because today's episode takes place in Europe, mostly in France and Germany. And since I couldn't decide which country was the main location, I've decided to give you fun facts about both.
God bless you.
You're welcome. Starting with Germany, which is in Western Europe. Germany first became a country in 1871. Following World War II, the country was split into West Germany and East Germany in 1949. And since the East aligned itself with the Soviet Union, millions of people fled to the West, which angered the powers that be so much that they built the Berlin Wall in 1961 to prevent anyone else from leaving. The wall was made of concrete and barbed wire, stood nearly 12 feet high, and stretched 155 kilometers or 96 miles. The wall fell in 1989. Some pieces do remain to this day, and they serve as a memorial and a reminder. Germany was officially reunified in 1990. Germany is home to more than 20,000 castles, as well as companies like Nivea, BMW, Audi, Bayer, Aldi, Brita, Adidas, Dr. Oetker, Mercedes, Volkswagen, and Haribo, which is named for Hans Riegel Sr., who invented gummy bears. And I thank him for it. I've been going through a real phrase. I bet I can fucking thank Perry for that. And for those who are like, how do you get the name Haribo from Hans? Well, they took the first two letters from his first name, the first two letters from his last name, and then the first two letters from the city Bonn, which is where he was living at the time he invented gummy bears.
Cute.
Every autumn, Haribo gives people 1 kilogram of candy in exchange for either 5 kilograms of acorns or 10 kilograms of chestnuts. Hans started the tradition because he believed every child deserved free candy. The acorns collected are then given to animals at a nature reserve.
Beautiful.
Germany is home to more than 3,200 types of bread, more than 1,500 types of sausage, and more than 5,000 brands of beer.
Wow.
In the 16th century, beer was categorized as a food in certain parts of the country.
Amazing.
Germany is known for the Autobahn, which is a federal controlled access highway system spanning more than 13,000 kilometers or 8,000 miles. While roughly half of the Autobahn has a speed limit, the other half has an advisory speed, which is 130 kilometers or 81 miles per hour. The average speed on the Autobahn is roughly between 130 to 142 kilometers, which is equivalent to 81 to 88 miles per hour. And I know I'm just a ninny when it comes to high speeds, but to me, unless you're trying to take a DeLorean back in time, there's not ever going to be a need to go 88 miles per hour. You can't hear 88 and not make that jump.
Of course. I also just love that once again we brought up road rage in the banter and then it comes out in the case. It just always happens. Sorry.
I think we're witches.
Oh, I know we're witches. We just haven't tapped into it enough, you know?
Agreed. Fun fact, not only did Germany invent the modern zoo, but they are also home to more than 400 zoos, which is more than any other country in the world. Hamburg, Germany has nearly 2,500 bridges, which is more than Venice, London, and Amsterdam combined. Movies filmed in Germany include the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Tomorrow Never Dies, the Bourne Identity series, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Mission Impossible 3, Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, and Snowden, which stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Shailene Woodley, Zachary Quinto, Tom Wilkinson, and Nicolas Cage.
There it is.
Famous people born in Germany include Albert Einstein, the brothers Grimm, Ludwig von Beethoven, Claudia Schiffer, Diane Kruger, Christoph Waltz, Steffi Graf, Heidi Klum, and Lou Bega of Mambo No. 5 fame.
Wow.
I had no idea, but there we go.
Beautiful.
Fun fact, it is illegal to pick mushrooms in the forest at night in Germany. And it's illegal to remove the wild garlic at the root. Also illegal, building sandcastles on the beaches at along the Baltic Sea, which is in North Germany. The reason is because digging and moving that sand can lead to beach erosion.
Ah,
Another law in Germany is what they call quiet time. Sundays are meant for religious observance and family, so you're not allowed to operate motorized garden equipment and power tools on Sundays. You know who also has no loud noises rules on Sundays? France, which is located southwest of Germany. Seamless transition, if I may.
really impressive work.
When you think of France, you likely think of the Eiffel Tower. It was built in 1889 and made from 18,038 iron parts held together by 2.5 million rivets. The tower stands just over 1,000 feet tall, although the height can vary up to 15 centimeters due to the iron expanding and contracting with the temperature. In 1899, electric bulbs were added, and in 1985, a golden orange projector system was installed to illuminate the structure from inside. In 2000, 20,000 lights were added as part of the Millennium celebration. People liked the lights so much that they've been on the tower ever since. Fun fact, did you know that when the Eiffel Tower was built, it wasn't meant to be permanent? It was built for a fair which was showcasing scientific, technological, and cultural events, and the plan was to tear it down 20 years later in 1909. And it turns out, when it first went up, many of the locals didn't like it and said that it was an eyesore that mucked up their city's beautiful skyline. Fascinating.
Alexander Petrovsky's daughter says that in the Sex and the City episode. Hideous. Absolutely hideous. That's what I have to offer to this.
I like that you have things to offer.
Ah, nah.
You know?
God bless.
In 2016, France was the first country to pass a law banning grocery stores from throwing out unsold food and requiring them to donate it to charity. France produces over 1,600 types of cheese, so it's no wonder that France is the most visited country in the world.
Oh, yeah.
France is home to the Cannes Film Festival, which features a 60-meter long red carpet which gets replaced several times a day. I had no idea. France is also home to the Louvre, which is the most visited museum in the world, and to the Palace of Versailles, which has over 2,300 rooms. Paris, France is home to the Grévin Museum, where you can see a hall of mirrors and over 250 wax statues of notable figures such as David Bowie, Salvador Dali, Marie Curie, and, Nicolas Cage.
I didn't know if we'd get two.
Did I give two references in one episode because I felt we needed one in each country? Yes.
Adorable.
Just felt, if we're gonna, we're gonna. France is home to the most Nobel Prize winners in literature, and as of 2024, it holds the Guinness World Record for longest baguette, which measured 461 feet long. Fun fact, the baguette became a protected cultural icon in 1993, and it is said that putting a baguette upside down is considered unlucky.
Oh.
Yeah. Another fun fact, France produces 10 billion baguettes a year.
Beautiful.
I wonder how many of those I eat. Well, I mean, obviously none from France, but I'll tell you, I put down a baguette or two.
Oh, yeah. I see the images of people in France, in Paris, wandering, eating a baguette out of a paper bag. Ooh la la, get me there,
Oh,
I could live off of bread and cheese for the rest of my life. I mean,
yes. Maybe that's
I don't
why
know
you
if
shit
that would
yourself.
help me shitting, but
Yeah, I get that. All champagne comes from the Champagne region of France. Everything else is just sparkling wine. And speaking of wine, it is estimated that the French consume 40 liters of wine per person per year. Yeah, good for them. France has a law where you cannot name your pig Napoleon. and a law where you can apply to marry someone who is deceased, but only if you prove that that person had previous intentions to marry you before their death. After a UFO sighting in 1954, the mayor of Chateauneuf-du-Pape made a law banning all UFOs within town limits. No crafts have been seen since. I just like the idea that aliens are real rule followers. Fun fact, France has more than 50,000 roundabouts, which is more than any other country. The most famous roundabout in France is the, oh God, why do I try? Place de l'Étoile, which surrounds the Arc de Triomphe. Things invented in France include hot air balloons, stethoscopes, the Etch-a-Sketch, pencil sharpeners, mayonnaise, hair dryers, pasteurization, the metric system, canned food, Bic pens, neon lights, the stapler, and Braille. Celebrities born in France include Brigitte Bardot, Coco Chanel, Jacques Cousteau, Vincent Cassel, Emma Watson, Lily Rose Depp, Claude Monet, Gerard Depardieu, Marion Cotillard, and football player Kylian Mbappe, who I only mention because two of my children are very big fans. And I don't know why I say that as though I'm like, he's going to love that. He's not going to listen.
I hope he doesn't.
Matter. God, I hope he does. He doesn't, and it's fine. To be clear, I'm very much still Team Norway.
Of course.
But like I can give a shout out to Team France, specifically to him. But on to the main event. As part of my research for this episode, I read the article The Kalinka Affair by Joshua Hammer at Atavist Magazine, and the article 30 Years in Search of Justice by Andrew Anthony at The Guardian. There obviously were other things, but those two were packed with info and very
big
lengthy.
Sources.
Yes. So, disclaimer. This episode will contain mentions of rape and child sexual abuse, so trigger warning for those who need it. Also, I apologize in advance for my pronunciations. I'm doing my best. So, we're just all doing our best, I think.
Absolutely.
On October 18th, 2009, police in Mulhouse, France, received an anonymous call from a man with a thick Russian accent who stated that there was a fugitive on a street in the middle of town. When police arrived, they found 74-year-old Dieter Krombach lying on the ground with his hands and feet bound and a gag in his mouth. When police looked Krombach up, they discovered he was a well-respected cardiologist living in Germany. Krombach said he'd been abducted by 3 men from his home in Lindau, Germany, which was 235 kilometers or 146 miles east of Mulhouse. Krombach then said that Andrei Bamberski was responsible. Andrei Bamberski was born in France in 1937. His parents fled Poland in the early 30s, and when the Nazis invaded Poland in 1939, Andrei was sent to live with his grandparents. He wasn't reunited with his parents until after the war in 1945. Andrei became an accountant and married a woman named Danielle. They settled in Casablanca, Morocco, and had 2 children, daughter Kalinka in August 1967 and son Nicholas sometime in 1971. 3 years later, the family left Morocco and settled in Peshbusk, France, which was near the place where Danielle had grown up. The following year, Danielle said she got a job at a real estate office in Nice, which was roughly 563 kilometers or 350 miles away. She said that instead of uprooting the children, who were 8 and 4 at the time, Danielle would just rent an apartment in Nice and return home on weekends. The strange thing was, Danielle refused to tell Andrei the name of the real estate firm or give him the company's phone number. So that feels fishy right out the gate. And Andrei just started getting really suspicious and kind of really felt after time kept going that Danielle was hiding something. So, about a year into this supposed new job, when Danielle left one Sunday night, Andre followed her. It turns out he had every right to be suspicious because Danielle didn't go to Nice. Instead, she went to Toulouse, which was just 11 kilometers or 6.5 miles north of Peshbusk. After watching Danielle go inside a building, Andre went up and asked the concierge who that woman was, and the concierge said, "Oh, that's Madame Krombach." Andre immediately recognized the name Krombach as a man named Dieter Krombach lived just 4 houses away from the Bamberskis when they lived in Morocco. Krombach was a doctor, a widower, and a father of two. Danielle later admitted that she and Krombach had started an affair in Morocco in 1974, and he moved to France to be closer to her so the affair could continue.
Oh my God.
The idea that they both moved to continue the affair is gross, especially when she lied about the job so she had an excuse to leave her family throughout the week. If you want to run away with the man, there's the door, lady. If you were more interested in seeing your side piece than seeing your children, divorce your husband and ask for partial custody. To do this behind his back is gross. From the best I can tell, the affair went on for at least 2 years before Andre learned about it. When Danielle admitted to the affair, she outright said that she was leaving Andre for Krombach. So Andre and Danielle divorced, and she moved in with Krombach and his children, leaving her own children behind. Danielle and Krombach married in 1977, 3 years after starting their affair. For 5 years, Andre raised those kids alone. They were 5 and 9-ish when their mother left. I don't know how often she saw them, but Andre did most, if not all, of the parenting. But since childcare is expensive, in July 1980, Andre moved with the children to Morocco to be able to get help from his family. Since he had sole custody of the children, the move was completely legal and within his right. But just days after the move, Danielle filed a legal complaint against Andre, which somehow led to Danielle getting full custody of the kids. Andre agreed to only see the children during holidays, although he wasn't given much of a choice. Andre moved back to France, and the children moved to Lindau with Danielle, her new husband, and her husband's 2 children, Boris and Diana, who were in their late teens at the time. Kalinka spoke little German, so she attended a French language boarding school in Freiburg, roughly 178 kilometers or 110 miles from Lindau. She spent most weekends and summers in Lindau with her mother, but was deeply homesick for France. After less than 2 years, the children still weren't adjusting to life in Germany, so it was determined they would move back to France to live with their father in September 1982. But on the morning of July 11th, Danielle called Andre to say that Kalinka had died in the night. Andre was shocked because Kalinka was perfectly healthy. Danielle said that as a doctor, her husband, Krombach, had 2 potential theories as to what might have happened. Either she suffered heat stroke from her day spent at the lake, or she died from long delayed effects of a concussion that she suffered in a car accident in 1974. Can a concussion cause death 8 years after the fact? I'm not a doctor, but that just sounds suspicious.
Yeah.
Kalinka Bamberski was described as extroverted, athletic, bright, and constantly smiling. She was named after a wildflower that grows in Poland. Her father described her as the joy of his life. Kalinka was just 14 at the time of her death. The day before, Kalinka windsurfed on Lake Constance and returned home around 5 p.m. Danielle and Krombach told police that when Kalinka returned, she said she wasn't feeling well. The family had dinner at 7:30 and Kalinka went to bed early. At 8 p.m., Krombach took Kalinka a glass of water And around midnight, Kronbach says that Kalinka was reading in her room and he asked her to turn her light off. He said at that time he gave her a sleeping tablet and then he went to bed. The next morning, shortly before 10, Kronbach went to wake Kalinka when he found her in bed lying on her right side, unresponsive. When emergency services arrived, they noted that Kalinka showed signs of rigor mortis, meaning she had died hours before Kronbach had found her. Kronbach told them that he had given Kalinka an iron and cobalt supplement injection the night before because she was anemic. But wouldn't you know, there was no medical record of any doctor ever diagnosing her with anemia. Kronbach also said he was concerned that Kalinka had suffered sunstroke after spending the day at the lake, so he gave her injections of calcium and iron, although neither of those is a treatment for sunstroke. Danielle admitted that Kronbach had given her daughter some sort of injection, but neither of them could agree on what time they remembered that injection happening. During the autopsy, Kronbach later told the medical examiner that he had given Kalinka an iron cobalt injection to help her tan more easily, which is odd because he previously claimed that injection was for her alleged anemia. Kronbach also told the medical examiner that he tried to revive Kalinka by injecting a stimulant directly into her heart, followed by injections of 2 other stimulants in her legs. He did not mention that to emergency services when they arrived. So when did Kronbach tell the medical examiner all of this? Oh, during the autopsy, because for absolutely no reason Kronbach was present. Yes, he was a doctor, but he was not a medical examiner. And since this is his stepdaughter we're talking about, it feels incredibly inappropriate that he got to be in the room. Typically, relatives don't stay in the room, nor would they want to, but you know. The results from the autopsy were not officially released until October, 3 months after Kalinka's death. Andre Bamberski had to have the document translated from German into French so he could read it. I apologize for what I'm about to say. It's particularly graphic. And brace yourselves because it's enraging. According to the autopsy, there was fresh blood around the vagina, which had been torn, and there was a white substance inside which resembled semen. We'll never know, though, because the substance was never tested.
Great.
The medical examiner completely removed the vagina, which typically occurs in an autopsy if there is a concern that sexual assault happened. So there was enough of a concern that they removed the organ, but not enough to actually investigate any further. There were several injection marks on Kalinka's arms, right leg, and chest. The medical examiner noted that the marks were strange, as they were not in places that could be used to revive an unconscious person. And yet, medical examiner did no toxicology report.
Great.
The medical examiner estimated the time of death was likely between 3 and 4 a.m. However, they also noticed undigested food in Kalinka's stomach and signs that she suffered from regurgitation and possibly choked before her death. According to Danielle and Kronbach, Kalinka didn't eat after dinner. So how did she still have undigested food in her stomach at 3 a.m. when she last ate at 7:30? That doesn't make sense. In the end, the medical examiner was unable to determine an official cause of death. So given how suspicious Kronbach is in all of this, it would make sense that police would want to interview him. The day after Kalinka's death, the police commissioner himself spoke to Kronbach on the phone. Kronbach stated he injected Kalinka with iron and cobalt to treat her anemia, which again, she was never diagnosed with. Kronbach also stated that he found Kalinka unresponsive. He injected her with dopamine and another stimulant to increase her heart rate, and then 3 other injections, including one that was meant to treat high blood pressure and irregular heartbeats. If this seems suspicious to you, I agree with you. But the police commissioner Didn't think so. So this was the one and only interview the police ever did with Dieter Krombach regarding Kalinka's death. When Andrei Bamberski read the results, he was convinced that Krombach had raped and killed his daughter and that the medical examiner was helping to cover it up. Also, he claims he found her and then they immediately called emergency services. Emergency services showed up and went, "Oh, her body's in rigor. She's been dead for several hours." He's a doctor. He came across her body and went, "Okay, I'm still going to try and pump her full of things to save her." Like, he would have known. It's like, what are you hiding?
Wow.
I mean, I think we know, but oh God, it gets so enraging. He immediately, or Andrei Bamberski immediately went to the police with his suspicions. But since Krombach was such a well-respected doctor, Andrei's claims fell on deaf ears. After an official inquest, it was determined there was no foul play and Kalinka's case was closed. When Andrei told Danielle about his suspicions, she told him he was crazy, and she accused Andrei of having a vendetta against Krombach simply because he had stolen Danielle away. She said by pushing the idea that Krombach was a killer, Andrei was dishonoring the memory of their daughter. When Andrei pushed back and accused Danielle of not caring, Danielle allegedly told him, and I quote, "Kalinka died because it was her time to die."
Oh, boy.
And I know I'm not a religious person in any way, but I don't believe that saying it was her time should ever refer to a child. And maybe it was Danielle's way of coping. I don't know, but it enrages me. To quote Mrs. White from the 1985 classic Clue, "Flames on the side of my face." And I felt this way before we got to where it gets really bad.
Oh, God.
So despite his ex-wife's beliefs that it was simply Kalinka's time, Andrei refused to give up until he learned the truth about what happened to his daughter. And I know we're already suspicious of Krombach, so we're going to take a bit of a closer look at his background. Dieter Krombach was born in 1935 in Dresden, Germany. He graduated with honors from the University of Frankfurt and became a doctor of internal medicine. In 1963, 28-year-old Krombach married 18-year-old Monica Henze. She was barely 18 when they got married. From the sounds of it, they welcomed a daughter, Diana, just a few months later, and a son, Boris, a few years after that. According to Monica's family, throughout the marriage, Krombach often raped, beat, and threatened to kill Monica. Monica's brother also stated that Krombach would give Monica injections all the time, but would tell them not to worry, it was just iron and some vitamins. In 1969, seemingly out of nowhere, a perfectly healthy Monica suddenly came down with an illness that left her mute, blind, and eventually fully paralyzed.
Oh, boy.
She was taken to a hospital where she passed away soon after. Her cause of death was determined to be a cerebral brain hemorrhage. Suspiciously, though, just hours before Monica's death, Krombach shoved a doctor out of his way so he could inject his wife with snake venom. Somehow, that injection was never linked to Monica's death because the doctors were convinced that it was the contraceptive pills Monica was taking that caused her to have blood clots, which eventually burst in her brain.
Sure.
Monica Henze was just 24.
Ugh.
And doctors never once considered that her death was suspicious. In 1970, just 9 months after Monica's death, 35-year-old Krombach married 25-year-old Inge Weinroder. A few years later, he moved his family to Morocco, where he worked as the doctor at the German consulate. While in Morocco, he started an affair with Danielle Bamberski, who was also 10 years his junior. And yeah, They were both married at the time, and he even uprooted his wife and children to another country to be with his mistress. Krombach divorced his wife in 1974 and married Danielle in 1977. While he didn't admit to it until years later, throughout his marriage to Danielle, Krombach would often drug Danielle with sedatives so he could bring other women over to the house while Danielle was asleep. The absolute audacity of this piece of shit. While Danielle didn't know that she was being drugged by her own husband, she eventually learned of the affairs, and Danielle and Krombach got divorced in 1989. But despite it all, Danielle continued to claim that Krombach was innocent of harming her daughter. I can't tell if she truly believed that or if it was just a lie she told herself so she wouldn't feel responsible knowing she allowed a predator to be near her children. When Danielle later learned that Krombach had been drugging her, she said, quote, "If he decided he wanted something, nothing could stop him. He chose me because I was married, which represented an additional challenge for him." She then added that Krombach seemed to have an attraction to teenage girls, stating, quote, "The lure was forbidden." And to that I say, if you knew that, then it is absolutely criminal that you allowed him to live in the same home as your teenage daughter.
Yep.
Is this why she initially let the children go live with their father for years? Because she knew her husband couldn't be trusted? If so, then why didn't she just let the kids stay with Andre? I am
not
curious.
be with that man.
100%.
Disgusting.
I am curious. Did Krombach push Danielle to try and get custody? Because conveniently, the time that she tried to get it and successfully got it was around the time Kalinka turned 13. So can't help but wonder if he had a say. In 1992, Krombach got married for the fourth and final time. His new wife, Elke Freilich, was, you guessed it, 10 years younger than him. The couple had a daughter named Katya the same year they got married. But just like with his previous wives, Krombach repeatedly cheated on her, so they divorced in 1995. So I think we can safely say this man is a piece of shit, and it's easy to see why Andre Bamberski would be convinced that Krombach had harmed his daughter. So let's look at the lengths to which Andre was willing to go for justice. Disappointed with the initial autopsy report, Andre's lawyers pressured a German prosecutor to order more tests in early 1983. Wolfgang Span, a forensic scientist from the Medical Legal Institute of Munich, studied samples from the autopsy. He concluded that the cobalt and iron injection that Krombach gave Kalinka was dangerous because, first of all, it had no value as a tan enhancer, as he had once claimed. And even if it's going to be used to treat anemia, it's rarely ever given. That specific combination is kind of crazy to see. And again, though, there was no sign Kalinka had anemia in the first place. Wolfgang commented that the specific combination of injections that Krombach administered could possibly cause fever, vomiting, and in extreme cases, cardiac arrest or respiratory failure. He also stated that the presence of food particles in Kalinka's esophagus and lungs suggested after getting the injection, she went into anaphylactic shock, lost consciousness, and asphyxiated on her own vomit. And since there was no sign to her skin reacting to the injection site, that indicates she died pretty much immediately after that shot was administered. Wolfgang's findings were uncertain about rape. He stated that the vaginal tear could have been post-mortem. In the end, based on the samples he was given, Wolfgang determined that an injection of cobalt and iron most likely led to Kalinka's death. Despite the evidence, which seems to suggest that, as a doctor, Krombach had been sinister at worst or negligent at best, The local prosecutor general refused to send Krombach to trial, and police refused to investigate him any further. Frustrated by the results, 6 months later, Andre went to Lindau, where Danielle and Krombach were living, and distributed 2,000 flyers during a busy beer festival. The flyers had a photo of Kalinka and read, quote, "People of Lindau, you should know that a murderer, Dieter Krombach, is living in your city. He raped and murdered my daughter on July 10th, 1982, and his crimes have been covered up by doctors, the police commissioner, and the prosecutors. Please help me obtain justice." The flyers also contained Krombach's home address. Within 2 hours, police arrived and Andre was arrested and charged with defaming Krombach, disturbing public order, and injuring the reputation of the prosecutor. Andre was released on bond, and 3 months later he was put on trial. He refused to show. Andre was found guilty and given a sentence of 6 months in prison or a fine of 400,000 Deutschmarks. Andre just refused. And since he was living in France at the time and this sentence occurred in Germany, Andre was able to get away without jail time or paying the fine simply by just staying out of Germany until the statute of limitations ran out 5 years later. Kind of give him props for that.
Totally.
In 1985, French authorities started to investigate Kalinka's death, which was legal since Kalinka was still technically a French citizen. Unfortunately, the German authorities refused to cooperate, which Andre believes is somehow linked to the years that Krombach spent as working for the consulate. As part of the investigation, French authorities had Kalinka's body exhumed so they could perform a second autopsy. The medical examiner noted that several organs, including Kalinka's sex organs, were missing. Not all of the organs, just the ones that could prove what she was injected with and whether she had been raped. Also missing, the test tubes of Kalinka's blood that had been taken for testing and then never actually tested. There was a note in the original autopsy that the organs had been removed, but they were just never returned to the body prior to burial. When they contacted the German forensics lab, which originally handled the organs, they were told they didn't know where the organs were either. So as far as they could tell, the organs were either destroyed or thrown out.
Disgusting.
And I don't want to get all tinfoil hat about it, but either Krombach did something with the organs without the medical examiner noticing, or the medical examiner helped destroy evidence that a grown-ass man raped and killed a child. If either is true, both men should have immediately lost their medical licenses and should have been arrested for obstruction. But as we often see in these cases, men in positions of power do bad things and often get away with it. It's enraging. In 1988, German authorities complied with a request from French investigators for tissue samples from Kalinka's heart, lungs, and skin. The samples were analyzed by forensic experts at the Institute of Legal Medicine in Paris. The experts determined that the cobalt iron injection that Krombach had given Kalinka was likely what led to Kalinka's death, as they believed she died due to asphyxia and cardiovascular shock. So now multiple experts from both countries are stating that injection killed her, and yet the German authorities still refused to investigate Dieter Krombach. If you hear that a doctor gave someone who is a minor and also not your patient a random injection that wasn't needed, and that injection led to the child's death, why are you comfortable with that person practicing medicine?
Yeah.
Even if Kalinka's death was somehow an accident, he is still responsible and will absolutely do it again if he's not stopped. But somehow that wasn't enough evidence for German authorities to make an arrest. You know what would have helped prove that evidence? The blood samples that mysteriously disappeared. And while it wasn't enough evidence for German authorities, the French authorities determined, yeah, it's more than enough for them. So in April 1993, the French prosecutor general charged Dieter Krombach with voluntary homicide, which could mean a sentence of up to 30 years in prison. The French prosecutor asked the German authorities to arrest Krombach. They refused. They said their case against Krombach was closed. But even without Krombach present in March 1995, the French prosecutor went ahead with the trial anyway, and Krombach was convicted in absentia.
Absentia.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Fuck. There we go. Thanks, Perry. Jesus.
Right.
It's been a real ride, Perry. That's what the shirts are going to say. It's been a real ride, Perry. So he was convicted in absentia, there we go, and sentenced to 15 years. But German authorities refused to extradite because they felt that holding a trial in absentia was illegal. So despite multiple forensic experts determining that Krombach caused Kalinka's death, and despite a guilty verdict, Krombach remained a free man. And not just a free man. We're talking successful medical practice, random relationships with women, part of a yacht club, part of an equestrian club, just everything coming up Krombach, which is both enraging and a tale as old as time. A white man harms a woman who in this case is a child, and somehow it's not seen as his fault simply because he's successful and well-liked. Gross.
Gross.
Speaking of gross, in February 1997, 16-year-old Laura visited Krombach's clinic for an endoscopy. Basically, it's a long tube with a camera on the end that gets put down the throat. I had it done when I was younger. It was awful. When Laura got to the clinic, Krombach's assistant was at lunch, so he said he'd just do the procedure on his own. He told Laura it would be uncomfortable, so to help her get through it, he gave her an injection of an anesthetic. Laura said she woke up completely naked and Krombach was on top of her.
Ugh.
Krombach then drove Laura home as though nothing had happened. Laura, bless her, immediately told her parents, and Krombach was arrested. Krombach denied any wrongdoing until he learned they had forensic evidence proving that Laura was telling the truth. Krombach pleaded guilty. 5 other patients came forward with similar stories about Krombach, stating he raped them after drugging them with an iron cobalt injection.
Jesus Christ.
But since there was no physical evidence from those particular crimes, their testimony was rejected. Despite being divorced, Danielle Bamberski gave testimony in favor of Krombach, stating he was a good man who didn't have to rape because he was very successful with women.
Gross.
One of the biggest lies that men have led us to believe: rape is not about being successful or not with women. It is about small, pathetic losers who get off on power and control. To claim that a man couldn't possibly rape a woman simply because he gets a lot of women in general is a dangerous lie that losers created to get away with rape. Krombach was convicted of raping a minor, so the judge forced him to surrender his medical license, and he was sentenced to 2 years in prison.
That's it?
But before you may celebrate him going to prison, get ready for it.
Oh, God.
The judge decided that since Krombach didn't have a previous criminal record, and since he had such a good reputation in the community, his prison sentence was suspended, meaning despite being convicted of raping a child, he was set free. I don't even know anymore. Krombach then proved what a piece of shit he is. When a reporter asked him after all of this, he said, and I quote, "The girl wanted to sleep with me. She started taking her clothes off. It was all over in 5 minutes." Bamberski attended the trial in the hopes of seeing Krombach finally punished for something. Krombach told reporters that Andre was crazy, stating, quote, "It's ridiculous for Bamberski to think I made love to his daughter. I didn't need to. I was married. I was happy with Kalinka's mother."
Meanwhile, he was cheating the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Couple of things. One, you were never accused of making love to a child. Because even if she had consented, which we know she did not, it's statutory rape. Two, notice he didn't say he didn't rape her. He simply said he didn't need to rape her. He didn't say, "Oh, I never did." He just said, "I didn't need to."
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing there. And I know I said a couple of things, but there's more. Three, he said he was married, but we all know he was drugging his wife so she would sleep so he could fuck random women at their house without her knowing. So saying, "Well, I'm married, I was married, so that means nothing." Nothing. And four, it's not about being happy. It's about getting control over someone else. To say like, "Oh, I was happy. I was happy in my relationship." Then why were you drugging your wife so you could fuck women at the house? Like, you're a doctor. Get a separate place to go fuck women. But he probably
He
liked
has an
injecting.
office.
He liked injecting his wife. He liked the power of injecting people.
It's gross.
Gross. And just in case, I'm sure there's not, but just in case you somehow don't see this man as the absolute monster that he is, let me tell you about another interview he did. When the female journalist arrived at the interview, Krombach made inappropriate comments towards her. And when the journalist asked Krombach about him drugging Laura, he said, quote, "Like they said in ancient Rome, those who remain silent seem to agree."
This guy's a piece of shit.
This man is a level of disgusting. Honestly, I understand why someone would be willing to spend decades to ensure his downfall.
Yeah.
Now, the only positive thing that I can say about the judge in Laura's case is that he suspended Krombach's medical license. It is the only nice thing I can say. But of course, Krombach forged a new license and continued to practice in secret, which I don't have to tell you is very illegal. In 2000, Krombach was arrested on a trip to Austria regarding his outstanding conviction in France from 1995. Krombach spent 3 weeks in jail before his attorney convinced an Austrian judge that the trial in France had been illegal since Krombach wasn't there when the trial took place. In early 2001, the European Court of Human Rights in France ruled that absentia trials were no longer legal because the accused didn't have the opportunity to defend themselves. And it's truly aggravating because Krombach knew that trial was happening. He just didn't bother to show up.
Right.
And because he didn't show, he just gets away with it? I hate everything.
Yeah.
The government was then ordered to pay Krombach 100,000 French francs for his trouble. So by this point, Krombach's fourth wife had left him, his medical license was gone, and his reputation in Lindau was destroyed. Honestly, I love that for him, and I think he deserves much worse. So Krombach takes his forged medical license and he starts traveling around. He was moving every 6 months or so he wouldn't get caught. Andre Bamberski tried to keep track of Krombach's movements to the point that by 1999, Andre quit his job so he could devote himself full-time to hunting down Krombach and getting Kalinka the justice she deserved. In 2006, a documentary called Kalinka's Final Journey was broadcast in Germany. It was directed by Hilke Sinning, the same journalist who Krombach got inappropriate with in 1997 following his conviction. In the documentary, Hilke interviewed 2 women who said when they were teenagers, they lived near Krombach, who took them on holidays to London and France. One of the girls during those holidays in that time period, she was 14 going on these trips. According to them, Krombach gave them iron cobalt injections before raping them. The girls turned around and told their mother. Their mother called them liars because Krombach was such a good man.
I can't.
Krombach denied ever being alone with the girls and said, "We never took trips together. They're lying." I'm obviously more inclined to believe the girls. And then on top of that, it turns out the girls have photos of themselves with Krombach vacationing in the south of France. How did they have the photos if the trip didn't happen, you vile piece of shit? It's not just on the road. Sometimes the rage comes into the office.
I get it.
After the documentary aired, a woman came forward stating that she recognized Krombach as her doctor. She didn't accuse him of any wrongdoing, but at the time he treated her, his medical license had been revoked. So Krombach was arrested for practicing medicine without a proper license. Prior to the trial, Krombach was examined by 2 psychiatrists at the University of Munich Hospital. They stated that Krombach was a chronic liar, a sexual predator, and a narcissist with delusions of grandeur, believing he was outside the law. During the examination, Krombach bragged about the women he had slept with, including the fact that he'd carried on several affairs throughout all of his marriages. Krombach, who was 71 at the time, bragged that he had recently had sex with a 16-year-old niece of his cleaning lady. He admitted to drugging the girl with Valium and another sedative prior to their encounter. Again, sir, that's not sex. That's rape. So just fully admitting to rape, and that he never got charged with that.
Of course.
He just admitted it, fucking bragging about it. According to the psychiatrist's report, Krombach dodged conflicts, embellished his own reality, minimized his own weaknesses, and showed signs of repression and denial. They determined that Krombach had molested several patients and co-workers and described his behavior as compulsive. They said if left without supervision, Krombach would absolutely do it again. After a 2-day trial, Krombach was found guilty and sentenced to 2 years, 4 months in prison. He was eventually released in June 2008 after serving 18 months.
Good God, these sentences.
It's insane. In 2009, and again, that sentence was just for practicing without a medical license. Nothing to do with raping a 16-year-old girl after drugging her. And drugging her should have also been a charge. But, you know. In 2009, Andre Bamberski was able to track Krombach to a small apartment a few miles west of Lindau. At this point, he had exhausted all legal attempts at getting justice for his daughter, and he grew desperate because 2012 would mark 30 years since her death, which meant the statute of limitations would pass, and therefore no one would ever be charged. Andre said he briefly considered killing Krombach, but he knew that wouldn't be true justice. He wanted things done legally, but for 27 years, he'd been blocked at every turn. Then in the fall of 2009, Andre learned that Krombach was planning to move again, and Andre was concerned he was going to lose him. So in a desperate move, Andre offered 2 men 20,000 euros to abduct Krombach and bring him to France. Basically, if the German authorities weren't going to extradite Krombach, Andre would. Unfortunately for Andre, the 2 men took his money and ran, leaving Andre feeling helpless. Then, on October 8th, 2009, Andre met a man named Anton Krasniqi. When Andre told Anton his story, Anton was immediately willing to help. Anton said he didn't even want the money. He just wanted to help a grieving father. But Andre insisted on paying for any expenses that Anton and his accomplices incurred. So on the night of October 17th, Anton and two unknown men broke into Kronbach's home, beat him up, tied his hands and ankles, gagged his mouth, and tossed him on the floor of the backseat of their car. They then drove roughly 240 kilometers or 150 miles and dumped Kronbach, who was 74 at the time, onto a street in the middle of Mulhouse, France. Andre, who was not any part of the official abduction, called police with a fake accent to report Kronbach's location. When police identified Kronbach, they discovered he had previously been sentenced to 15 years, but he had avoided serving any time. So they arrested him. Kronbach demanded to be released, claiming he was a doctor and he could recognize that he was having a heart attack. Kronbach was taken to a hospital for treatment, which proved there was no heart attack. Kronbach was then held in custody on the outstanding warrant for the death of Kalinka Bamberski. Police traced the anonymous call that they received to a hotel in Mulhouse, where they found Andre Bamberski with a bag containing 19,000 euros, which just so happened to be the exact amount of money he would need for bail. Andre denied any involvement in the abduction, stating that he didn't commission the crime, but he fully supported it. Andre was arrested on suspicion of kidnapping, but released on bail. Outside of Kronbach's home, German police found a piece of paper which had Anton's full name, address, and phone number, so he was quickly arrested and charged with kidnapping. Dieter Kronbach was charged with voluntary violence leading to unintentional death with aggravated circumstances regarding the death of Kalinka Bamberski 27 years earlier. Since they couldn't prove that Kronbach had intended to kill Kalinka, he couldn't be charged with murder. Kronbach's attorneys made 7 attempts to stop the trial before it started, but it finally went ahead in March 2011. Kronbach denied any wrongdoing, but he was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years in prison. 15? That's nice. The full punishment there would have been 30. So I would have liked to see more.
Should have been life, my God.
For the kidnapping of Kronbach, Anton Krasnicki and Andre Bamberski both went to trial. In 2014, Andre confessed to his involvement in the kidnapping plot, and he was given a 1-year suspended prison sentence, meaning he didn't have to actually go to jail. Anton and one of his accomplices were each sentenced to 1 year in prison. After his sentencing, Anton publicly stated he regretted nothing about his participation in the crime. Anton's just a real boy's boy, and I am here for it. Do I think that vigilante justice is the way to go? No, but I really think Kronbach deserved it.
Well, and this was also going on for decades. Like, it wasn't like they went out a week later. It was like, it's been 27 years. We have 3 years before this thing expires. Like, I think at that point, I get it.
Oh, yeah. Kronbach's lawyers made at least 15 attempts to get Kronbach released. Each one was denied. Due to health reasons, Kronbach was officially released in February 2020 after serving 9 years. He was sent to live in an old age home in Germany, where he died 7 months later.
Love that for him.
I don't even give a shit how old he was. Didn't bother to do the math. Because by 2020, 16 women, 1-6, had come forward accusing him of sexual assault. Do I believe that there are more who just haven't come forward yet? I do. But since I believe those 16 women who have come forward, Dieter Kronbach can fucking rot. Reporting for True Crime and Menopause, I'm Christy Oxborrow.
Oh, God, what a gift. Listen, let's hit the can, grab a drink, and we'll be back to rage a little more on the Kalinka Bamberski episode of True Crime and Cocktails. Clap 2 on 3. 1, 2, 3. Welcome back to this episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're, of course, discussing Kalinka Bamberski. So much to discuss. This is, how infuriating. And I feel like
top to
top to
bottom.
bottom infuriating. And I'm not going to go back into my same rant that I've made a few times lately on this show about how sexual assault and whatnot should have a mandatory life sentence, but I'm just getting it out of the way now. That's my true belief. I think when the only sentence is maybe 2 years, I just don't know how that's even a deterrent. Anyway, starting at the beginning, you were talking about Haribo.
Yeah, I was.
First 2 letters of his name, the first 2 letters of his last name, the first 2 letters of the town. If
Did
you
you
notice,
look up yours?
of course.
Of course. God, this is beautiful.
Now I was doing our current cities.
Yes.
So mine is La Asla. Not great.
Mm-hmm.
Yours, Chuxmo.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. Choxmo's got something to it.
So
For a while I had Chosmo, and then I was like, she doesn't have a Z in her last name, you boob. Like, it's an X.
yeah. Oh God.
Choxmo. I love it.
There are moments where I'm like, should I have kept my maiden name? Would have been a lot faster. A lot less paperwork.
Yeah.
Here
Oh,
we
yeah. Listen, if I ever get married, I'm not changing shit. You know what I mean? It's too late. It's too late.
Well, it's also just like, oh, we've had discussions. This is derailing, but we've had discussions about like if Canada ever gets to the point that America's trying to do, where they're like threatening of like taking away a woman's right to vote if she's married, we've discussed staying together and legally getting divorced,
Oh, that's smart.
so that it's like legally, I'm a single woman.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually we'd be common law, so I don't know how that whole thing is. But if I
Well,
have
the
to go
problem
back
also-
to if I have to have my birth certificate name to be able to vote,
Right.
then I'll just change my name back.
Yeah.
Which
There's
sounds
also
like a
things that you
nightmare.
can do. It's just like difficult. You know, they're just trying to make it hard.
Of course they
But
are.
I like your commitment to voting. I feel the same. Sundays are quiet days in Germany and France. That sounds nice.
I like a dedicated day where, and so I think I could be wrong, but I think Germany was like all day. France was like afternoons. If you get your shit done in the morning, leave us our afternoons. And I'm just like, I'd like that. I'd like even just one day a week, a chunk of time where it's like everyone has to quiet.
I remember being alive when Sunday shopping was first introduced. Because everything was typically closed on Sundays.
Oh, I don't think I ever really thought about that.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember like it was like an outing. We were like, oh, we're going to go Sunday shopping. I was very young. I'm very young and sweating in my bed every night. You mentioned that champagne is the only place in the world that makes champagne. That makes me think of Rob Lowe in Wayne's World every time. Everything else is sparkling white. Okay. Getting into this case. It's all so sad. It's all so sad. And I think it's sad because the justice system failed Kalinka. The, authorities failed her. Her mother failed her. Like, it's a nightmare. I mean, the fact that the mother has gone on record as saying, yeah, Dieter was into teenage girls. And it's like, and you had your daughter come and move in with you when she was 13. What are you doing? Did you really think that it would but not mine? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I also
Nothing
want
would
to
turn
know,
me off faster than being like, he's into teens? I'm good.
yeah, you just don't be with that person. Like, disgusting. And my question is, at what point did she find out about the drugging? Was it like after Kalinga's death? Because if it was before, why would you not get those children out of there even sooner?
From my understanding, she learned about the affairs and then they divorced in 89. It was after that she learned, because he hadn't publicly been like, oh yeah, I used to drug her all the time.
Well, this is the other thing, like, skipping ahead for a second, like, her being like, oh yes, he used to drug me to have other women over to sleep with them. Like, not to be dark or crass, but I don't know that that's the whole truth. If he has a pattern of drugging women and raping them, I'd say he was probably doing that to Danielle as well, whether she wants to look at that or not.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, there's just no way that that wasn't happening. The fact that he was present at Kalinga's autopsy is so appalling to me.
I know.
And it's so disgusting. And especially knowing now what kind of person he is, he probably liked that. Now, I know I've heard also that police in certain places in Europe, I don't know if it happens as much here. Maybe it does, but I know that it's not uncommon for like a police officer to be present at autopsies. I've heard this from police officers in the UK. Maybe not anymore, but certainly there was a time around this period. But he wasn't a police officer. He was a doctor. It was a conflict of interest. There was no reason for him to be there.
Absolutely.
He was just trying to sway the procedure.
Yeah.
And I think there's especially something very dark and awful about this child who they determined had obvious signs of sexual trauma.
Yep.
And he was there to watch the reality of the autopsy and them remove her genitals. Like, I think that is so sick.
Yep. Agreed.
It's so awful. The fact that they didn't test the white substance found in her vagina makes me want to literally rage against the machine. Like, that makes me want to... I don't even know. The fact that they never did a toxicology run of her blood, like... What? It's just everybody failed this child. It's so disgusting. This poor child. It feels to me... Now, I'm speculating here. But it feels to me like it's possible. I'm coming up with an MO here, right? We know his MO is he wants to just drug women and rape them. That's his story. He's done it. Yeah. There's multiple accounts of this. My question is, I think there's two ways this could have gone. One, he was doing it to Kalinka consistently.
Yeah.
Or because it seems that he gave her the injection and she immediately had a bad reaction and threw up and died, like asphyxiated and died. My question is, I wonder if he had not done it to her, because they'd only lived together for a couple of years, right? Is it possible he was on his best behavior with the child in the home, but then when he found out, oh no, the kids are moving back to France to be with their dad,
right?
Was he like, well, I'll have a go. I'll do it, before she leaves. Of course, he gives her the injection. She immediately gets sick, chokes on her vomit. And then does he go, shit, well, I'm going to just leave her then and pretend that we woke up and found her dead. Now, we know that he also sexually assaulted her in that time. I think that's safe to say. There was signs of who else would have done it? Like, give me a fucking break.
Right.
So, yeah, the detail also that damage could have happened post-mortem. It's like, it's so fucking dark. It's so dark. But I honestly wonder if this was the first time, because we knew he used the iron and cobalt to drug all of them. We know that he's done this, right?
Right.
And so the fact that it seemed that she had such an adverse reaction. Now, it could have also been that prior times he didn't give her as high a dose. There could be other things. So my bottom line here is, I don't know that he intended to kill her. I hesitate to agree with anything that the justice system did in terms of this case, but I don't disagree with the fact that it's like, was it murder? I don't know that it was. I don't know that his intention was to kill her. That being said, I think that his intention was to rape her and to drug her.
Yes.
And agreed. As we know, as I stated, because I stated at the beginning of this and I won't belabor it, I still think that should carry a life sentence. This isn't vehicular manslaughter where you accidentally got into an accident and someone died. This is, you were causing harm to a child deliberately for sexual gratification and she died accidentally. I think you could get a murder charge, to be honest with you, even though, I mean, it depends on your lawyers. And I feel like in America, it's a little more loosey-goosey. You can, kind of rile up the jury, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like maybe in Europe they have a little bit stricter rules about that stuff. But certainly you're getting a manslaughter charge or, accidental death or whatever. But I just, I don't know that I don't know that I believe it was his intention to kill her. I'm not saying that makes this any better. It doesn't. I just am saying that's the only piece where I was like, well, they're not wrong. But still, this man's perversions led to her death. There's wrongful death in there. You know what I mean? Like that could carry
100%.
just as large a sentence. My God. I think also just the reveal that vaginas are removed during autopsies if there's like signs of sexual assault. That's going to haunt me. That's going to haunt me as much as your vagina retracts into you after menopause. I don't want to think about it.
Fully agreed. But God, am I ever delighted that every time you've mentioned the retraction, you do the hand gesture. It kills me.
It's like a claw machine. I think that, honestly, I think Andre and this whole thing, I'm surprised they've never made a movie about this. I wonder if they have in Europe, but I'm surprised that there's never been a movie about this story, because Andre's story to me is really the one to follow. Like the idea of this father that's like, I will just not rest until I get justice for my daughter. I mean, trying to do things the right way, trying to do things the wrong way. The idea that he and a friend went to a beer fest and distributed 2,000 flyers to people being like, this man is a rapist and a murderer. Like, I kind of love it. Like, I'm like, I get it, man. Yes. Your kid died. We know your kid died because of this person. There's absolutely no justice being served on any level. I could see myself doing the same fucking thing. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. His level of dedication, good for him.
Yeah.
I'll say it. I get that I'm a sappy mother and all, but that's the level of dedication kids deserve from their parents.
100%. The fact that Danielle was like, oh, it was just her time.
Yeah.
What?
There's not a chance.
I just can't even imagine any parent saying that about their dead 14-year-old. It was just her time?
Gross.
I don't know. I mean, I understand that there's a certain sect of religious people that would say like, oh, it's part of God's plan or whatever, but I don't think I could obviously connect to that. And I feel like that's a challenge for a lot of people when it's a child, especially.
Yeah, I think
not an adult child. You know what I mean? It's a child. Like that's horrifying. And also the fact that Danielle like found out that Dieter had been drugging her. Again, I think was assaulting her also, and she probably just doesn't want to admit it. But the fact that she was like, oh yeah, when he wanted something, he wanted it. And then also like, yeah, well, he had a thing for teenage girls. And after all of that, testified in his defense?
Yeah.
What's up with this woman? Like, I just am like, what are you doing? It's so sad to me. Like I said at the beginning, she, Kalinka was betrayed by the justice system, by the police, by her stepfather, and by her mother.
100%. Prosecutors, police, medical examiner.
Yeah.
Fucking judge who, I know it was a different case, but that judge, when the 16-year-old was raped at his office, and the judge was like, but he's a good man. So, and he's never done this before, so we're going to let it go.
And then the joke is, of course, as we all know, of course he's done it before. Of course he's done it before, and he's going to do it again. This is the thing. I don't need to tell you, if he had been in prison for killing his stepdaughter, guess what? Lots of these women would not have been assaulted. It is a tale as old as time. And I also think it's like when we talk about, I love that I said at the beginning I wasn't going to harp on it, and I'm so sorry, but I'm about to again. Here's the thing. When you say to someone, hey, I don't think that a sentence for raping a child should be shorter than life in prison. I think it should be a life sentence.
Yep.
The person who goes, I disagree, lock them up too. Who disagrees? Who would disagree? That, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Because also in this case, the fact that it was like 2 years that he didn't even serve, like, what's the point then? Why even bother? Well, and I guess in the case of the 16-year-old, for example, they didn't even bother. They were like, oh, he's a good man. It's only two, you know. I'm also adding the story that it's like, it's only a 2-year charge, any 2-year sentence anyway. Here's the thing. If you just make the sentences longer, no one should complain. The only people complaining are rapists.
100%.
Is anybody really going to go, you know what? I think we should think about what drove the... Fuck off. I don't care. I'm tired of being like judicious in my words and how I talk about it. I just think if you rape a child, it should be over for you for life. Period. I don't think there's... And listen, it can be very tragic, the things that mentally broke some person to get them to that point. Sure. They can work that out in therapy in prison for the rest of their lives. How about that?
100%.
I don't want to rehabilitate them. I just don't think if we've learned anything doing this show, it's just, and I've seen documentaries about it. It's like the percent, and I'm not going to quote numbers because I don't have them in front of me, but like the percentage of child sex offenders that get out of prison and reoffend is literally in the high 90s. Like it is so high. Mm-hmm. We have the data, folks. We have the data. It's not even an emotional thing. I know that I'm very emotional about it, but it's not even an emotional thing. It's just like, oh, well, if we know that these people are just going to keep doing it, it just feels like the definition of insanity. It feels like I'm banging my head into a wall. Like, how do we have to, like, convince lawmakers that it's like, maybe just make it a bigger sentence? Is that crazy?
I could not love your passion more.
Honestly, I just think it's not justice. I think that's what it is. It's my justice thing, you know? And I just think if in America especially too, where there's so much talk about like, think of the children, think of the children, think of the children. I am! We are think of the children.
Oh, 100%.
I don't think that the lawmakers are thinking of the children. You know what I'm saying? Like, my God,
No.
It's just fucking crazy. I mean, the details of this crime, too. This gal, the young gal, Laura, I know we've talked about it already, but, like, goes in for an endoscopy. Now I'm the one with the word. Endoscopy. Thank you very much. See, we pick up for each other. Gave her an injection. She wakes up naked with him on top of her. And when he talks about that situation, he has the gall to say she wanted it.
Yeah.
And the judge was like, yeah, he's a good man.
It's
not even like he was saying, I didn't commit that crime. It's a lie. Literally, he was like, oh, yeah, no, I fucked her. I fucked that child.
Also, the comment of it was over in 5 minutes.
Disgusting.
Do you think that makes you look cool?
Exactly. Is it? Yeah.
This isn't like golf. The smaller the score isn't better.
Great point. I also think too, I've heard that in different, I've heard that used against some sexual assault victims in cases too, where it's like lawyers will be like, well, it didn't last that long, as though because it's like, well, the rape was only 5 minutes, so therefore is it that big a deal? Like, and what I would say to that is I'd love any lawyer that puts that out there. I'd like them to get raped for 5 minutes, and then you tell me.
100%.
Then you tell me. Yeah. I mean, again, Andre quitting his job. He had a goal. He knew that it was like the time is running out. There is a statute of limitations on how long I can get justice for this man. I like that he also admitted that he considered killing him because I think anybody would have, especially this specific guy that keeps getting away with this stuff over and over again and keeps violating and hurting people over and over again. So disgusting. I mean, then the whole, like, what does he actually do time for? Practicing without a license, and he only does 18 months?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, this guy, listen, he's fired me up. You were right. This one is really, I'm unimpressed. I do enjoy Anton also, who was basically like a criminal for good, like was like, I don't want your money. I just want to do this for like to avenge your daughter with you.
What a bro.
And I know, and I love that in the end he was like, I don't regret what I did. I love it.
It's also the fact that it's not like this was like a sibling. It's not like this was someone he'd known for decades. It's just someone he literally met. And within 2 weeks, that guy was like, yep, let's do this.
Yep.
Understood.
Yeah.
I also wonder, like, the idea was we take him from his home, we drop him off in France so that he finally can get arrested. Was it Anton's idea to be like, we're also going to beat the shit out of him just cuz?
It's a great question. You know, he was an old man at the time, and I know what you're
Yeah.
thinking. Oh, I love it for him. I hope he felt as helpless as those men beat him, while those men beat him, as all of the women did when he was violating them. I hope he got, I would like him to have been
100%.
beaten longer.
There's there's not an amount that's enough. Like for
No,
what he's done? Mm-mm.
no, it's
Mm-mm.
disgusting. It's horrific. To me, it's just the worst of the worst, you know? Um, and I think the reason it's the worst of the worst is because he could have been stopped so many times. There was so
Yep.
many opportunities for law enforcement to step in, to do the right thing, and it was the classic boys club, you know, the medical examiners, the judges, the everybody, district attorneys, etc., or the equivalent that they have over there. Like everyone was just like, he's a good guy. He's a doctor.
Fucking gross.
It's so disgusting. And you know, I was gonna say, you were talking about how about this? True crime side note in Lauren's notes. Yes. So you were talking about how he was practicing without a license. I just saw today that the Gilgo Beach serial killer
Yeah.
case. I don't know if you saw this, but the woman who was his therapist, who testified in court and was there for like all these different, you know, stages throughout the court case, it
Sure.
has come out she was practicing without a license.
Oh.
Yeah. So she not only was, so her name is Allison Winter. She not only was a huge part of that case, but I think she's a little bit of like a TV expert. Like she's been on different documentaries and stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
And on top of all of that, she was billing. So she's fucked herself now because she not only was practicing without a license, but she was also billing insurance companies. So now it becomes like
Fraud.
fraud, which is sadly sometimes bigger sentences than you know, the crimes like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
But yeah, she I'm just reading this here. She served as his counselor for 3 years while he was waiting legal proceedings. She counseled his ex-wife and his daughter. She was present when he confessed to his family he had murdered 8 women. She was featured in a documentary discussing details about the case, etc. Here's the thing. First of all, wild. And again, when you said practicing without a license, I just thought of this because I literally just learned about this today. But when you think about like what the implication of that may be, because now who knows how his legal team is going to play that, right?
Right.
They could try for a mistrial. They could try for, you know, I don't know whether they'd be successful, but I'm sure that if nothing else, there could be now, she was implanting thoughts. They could do anything at this point, right? If she's been
Yeah.
proven that she's not above board. I just was like,
Right.
what a fucking miss. And then I guess my question is, how do you get that gig? You're a therapist. How do you get, does somebody send you a LinkedIn message? Like, how do you get the gig to be like, hey, interested in being this accused serial killer's therapist for a few years? Like, who hooks you up with that one? Because that's the other problem. Was it a lawyer? Was it law enforcement?
Right.
How many other cases has she been involved in? How many other people has she been working with?
Oh, yeah.
The trickle down gets crazy. And again, it's like, for what? Because if you're like, then of course, and I obviously have not looked into this, I've just thought of it off the cuff and did one quick Google. But like, then I go, what you hiding? Did you have your license taken away for something? Did you never have your license to begin with? Do
Well,
you have
if
any
she's
actual
been
schooling?
if she's been doing this for years, she had time to do the schooling and then have the license.
But again,
So
I don't know what's worse. What's worse? Having the license and then having it taken away and then making a fraudulent one, or taking some classes and then faking it? I mean, I don't know.
I just
I'm guessing it's likely that she had it taken away, but then I'm going, what did she have it taken away for? Again, then it becomes a conflict of interest, right? If you find out
right.
that it's, I just think it's gonna, I'm curious to see what happens now and whether it fucks that case in some way. I think it's just the beginning of that story. And then, of course, second true note side note, true note side note, true crime side note.
You're doing great.
Jesus Christ. In Lauren's notes. It also has come out today. Obviously, we're recording this before this episode releases, but it has come out today that there's a brand new documentary about Jared Leto and him being his sexual misconduct with a lot of women. So I'm curious to see how that comes out. Now, the only reason I bring that up is, again, it just feels akin to what we were talking about in this episode. Young girls, the girls in question that have come forward about Jared Leto were all between 14 and 18, I want to say, at the time of the incidents. And I think, moreover, I only bring that up as well to just go, it's everywhere, it's prevalent, it feels suffocating at times to me, overwhelming, and, you know, I think it makes me feel really hopeless. It makes me feel really hopeless when it's like at every turn, every corner. Like, I'll be scrolling on TikTok and there's people on there talking about their experiences and the ways that men have treated them and all of the above. And it's from the micro to the macro, And this isn't meant to sound man-hating. What it is exhaustion.
Yeah.
It's really exhausting. And I know that we do this for a living and we do this every week. And it's like, oh, but not every week is a male perp. It's often statistically. But my point just is that sometimes I think it's the kid stuff for me too, which clearly I've made it very clear over the course of the last 6 months of this show. It's a trigger for me. But I think, again, it's just like, when does it end? When does it end when it comes from the top down? When does it end?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the answer is it might not ever, which is so sad.
Yeah.
In our lifetime, do I think there's going to be big changes made to hold men rightly accountable for their crimes against women and children? No. I saw a video about a woman who works in humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
And she was telling her story and about how she had to get out of it because she said in every country she's ever been in, doing humanitarian aid work, after crises, after wars, after natural disasters. She says in every country, no matter if it is war, natural disaster, whatever, men come and rape women and children. Yep. She's like, every time. And she said, and you think the aid workers aren't doing it? She said, she's like, my number one piece of advice, if a woman ever finds herself in a position at the end of a natural disaster or at the end of civil unrest or whatever, is that she's like, never trust any man.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, that's it in a nutshell to me. The fact that this woman was like, I eventually got out of the work because it was just too overwhelming, that no matter what, she's like, men will come and prey upon people, women and children who are desperate. And then she told some specific stories that I won't repeat because they're awful. But I think, again, I think I just, maybe right now I'm feeling the weight of the world a little bit, feels a little bleak. Feels a little bleak.
Well, even if we didn't do this show, so even if there wasn't one day a week where you were bombarded with it, if we take that out, there is still so much and constantly new things all the goddamn time. So it is overwhelming. So if you take that already overwhelming, add in this, that we sit in this for hours and hours. And it's, it can be a lot. And again, I go back to years ago. I would say within the first couple of years of us starting this show, I was asked all the time. Are are we concerned at all that we're going to run out of stuff to talk about? And I said, even if crime stopped today,
Yeah.
we would never run out.
No.
Never.
Not in our lifetime.
With the
No.
amount of stuff. So I was like, no. That, and also it's never a concern. I don't think that for anybody in the true crime space that they're like, oh, why isn't there more crime? It's like, I mean, I would love nothing more. All of a sudden, like next week, it was like, well, great news, crime has stopped.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's great.
Yeah.
We still have, if we keep going with the show, we still have decades and hundreds of years worth of things we could talk about.
Oh yeah, not in multiple lifetimes could we cover every crime that's ever been like. Give me a break.
Yeah. So I'm like, I also believe my answer was a snarkier. No, men are never going to stop killing women.
Yeah.
And then I just let it hang there. Didn't intentionally go there, but I was like, oh,
Yeah, look up the stats, folks. Look up the stats. The statistics, the data don't lie. It just doesn't lie.
Yeah.
On that hopeful note, we thank you so much for joining us for this episode of True Crime and Cocktails. If you haven't already, give us a follow on the socials on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at True Crime and Cocktails, on Twitter at Not Detectives. If you'd like some bonus content, go over to patreon.com/True Crime and Cocktails to learn more about our subscription-based service over there. The only place for official True Crime and Cocktails merch is, of course, truecrewmerch.com, so check that out as well if you're interested. And I'm going on tour in October in the United States, so go to laurenash.band, get your tickets today. The VIP tickets are selling. We're close to selling out in a couple of the cities, so if you're interested in meeting me, getting photos and stuff before the show, make sure you grab those while you still can. Christy, do you want to tell the people about next week's episode?
Well, there's not one.
That's right. And listen, I think it's important that we announce this.
Yeah.
We're taking a summer break,
We are.
which we've never done before.
We've taken like 1 or so weeks off.
Yeah.
But not enough time to accomplish anything
No.
in that time. But yeah, we're taking time.
We're taking time.
We're going to enjoy summer.
We're going to enjoy summer. And because listen, you have to take multiple weeks off before we can actually have any time off, because even if we don't have a show come out that week, then there's still lots of work to be doing on the back end and whatnot. So with that being said, there'll be no new episodes for 3 weeks. We'll be back September 1st. However, do not fret. We have a very extensive back catalog, lots of things to revisit, and we will still be releasing new episodes over on our Patreon. As always, there will be no disruption over there. People are paying, so we're making sure that we make good on their money. So check that out. If you're missing your chuckleheads, make sure you go over there if you're interested in learning more about that. All right. So no episode next week, but
on the September 1st episode of True Crime and Cocktails, a toxic love story.
Did I watch that documentary the day it came out and immediately text Christy and voice note Christy saying we have to cover this on the show? Yes. And if you've seen it, you'll agree. And if you haven't, you can always watch it ahead of that episode, because let me tell you something riveting. Riveting. Christy, do you want to say goodnight to the people?
Oh, good night to everyone but Perry.
Yeah, fuck you, Perry.